Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It's that time of the week once again when the weekly challenges go ahead and refresh. This week sees the long awaited Group C event return, and it does seem that there's a bit of a pattern with the JGTC, DTM and Group C events, with them kind of rotating in and out, as these seem to be the only special events that are actually appearing at present. And once again, strangely enough, we only have monetary gain available for players, that being only credit tickets as rewards. So here is an overview for December week 3. This will end on the 26th of the 12th, 2024 at midnight. As you can see, we will start off at Alsace Test Course Reverse for the European Sunday Cup 400. We then go over for our first of two events at Tokyo Expressway. The first is on the south clockwise layout for the lightweight K Cup. We then move over to Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya on the GP layout for the Ferrari Circuit Challenge. We then go back to Tokyo Expressway on the east clockwise this time for the Nissan GTR Cup. And then of course we head over to the Group C event at Watkins Glen Long Course. In terms of the rewards this week, for completing one event it's 100,000 credits, for completing 3 events it's 200,000 credits, and for completing all 5 events it's 500,000 credits. In total it's a fairly lengthy mileage week, however it still won't take you that much time to complete. So let's get started then with event number 1 of the week, the Alsace Test Course Reverse European Sunday Cup 400. This is a 3-lap sprint race aimed at any car around 400 pp, that is of course from the continent of Europe. In reality what this actually translates to is some of the slowest European cars in the game are on track together. Now in terms of my car choice for this one, it will be the Renault 5 Turbo. Now this was a car that I used in my first Gran Turismo and I'd not used it much in GT7 at all, so I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go back and find an excuse to use it, and I feel like this event was the perfect one. So the event itself then, it's a 3-lap sprint race. It's set in the early hours of the morning. It will get brighter throughout the race. There are 8 cars in total on the grid, 7 AIs, again made up of some of the slowest European cars in the game. In reality they shouldn't give you too much of a problem. However, there is a chance that a couple of the front runners may be, a decent amount up the field and kind of away from the rest of the pack. So just work your way through, pick them off nice and quickly and get yourself towards those front runners. The quicker you can pick them off, the less chance there is of them kind of running away with it. So as you can see here, even in the older Renault, I did manage to get up alongside the Megane RS and get the lead pretty early on lap 2 before going up across the line at the end of 3 laps with a fair amount of a gap to the rest of the field. As you can see, that's first place, nice and easy, tick number 1 of the week in terms of the payout, 10,500 credits with that clean race bonus, and of course 100,000 credits on top. Moving on then to event number 2 of the week. This is at Tokyo Expressway on the south clockwise layout for the lightweight K Cup. Now there are some limitations and restrictions here. Of course it must be a K car, and of course it is limited to 400 pp on comfort softs. Now for me, I will easily cheese this in an engine swapped S660, which would be my car of choice this week. As you can see, this is tuned to around about dot on 400 pp. Now in terms of the event itself, there's a much bigger grid here. There are 20 cars in total. You will be starting in 16th position, so there is the risk to fall back or start gaining pretty early on. Now of course these cars don't take up much room, so they're very agile, very manoeuvrable, and you should be able to work your way through at Tokyo Expressway quite nicely without any real blockages or trouble. Now the event itself is a 3-lap sprint around Tokyo Expressway at midnight. Now just a quick note here, when it comes to building your 400 ppk car, I totally recommend building it towards top speed more than handling. There's a lot of very long straights here and the AI will do a decent job of running on those straights. However, they are typically inconsistent through the corners, so you won't have to worry about them too much there. But again, if your car is far too slow on the straights, they are just going to pull away from you and you're going to be in big trouble once again, because there's a lot of these long straights that seemingly go on forever. So I'm running on the hardest difficulty here, and honestly I didn't have that much of an issue with the AI. There's just a lot of them. Of course there is, it's a 20 car grid, so you just feel like you're picking them off one by one. Now typically the cars themselves run in kind of groupings, so you'll see maybe 2 or 3 cars per group, then you'll move on to the next one until you get towards the front. So just be aware of that you might end up with a bit of track time where you're kind of on your own, getting up to the back of the next group and then picking them off, moving on to the next. In terms of the event itself, it's not too bad. In the end, I took a 6-second lead, and that was good enough to take me to the win. That is tick number 2 of the week, with the clean race bonus relatively low paying at 48,000 credits, and of course no secondary reward. That will be up in the next event, which is going to be the Ferrari Circuit Challenge at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya GP Layout, of course featuring those annoying chicanes at the end. Now, once again, just like the K Cup, we do have some limitations here, which is 700 pp, which typically locks off some of the faster Ferraris in game. So my car of choice would be a LaFerrari. Unfortunately, I did have to down tune it in terms of its power output to be able to actually enter the event. Now, again, you can pick a bunch of different Ferraris, but unfortunately, you know, some of the fast ones will have to be down-tuned if you want to get them in here, which is a massive shame. But because it's such a mixed grid of classic Ferraris, modern Ferraris, that means that they needed to find a way to balance it, which seemingly was 700 pp. Now, the event itself is a 16-car grid, 15 AI over a 5-lap sprint race. And honestly, at first, this might seem like a very easy event as the AI begins to shuffle about, start overtaking the older cars, etc, etc. So you may see that some of the faster vehicles do get caught up, which makes them easy picking. As you can see here, I'd only just started lap 2 and I'm already up to P4. However, this would be far from easy as we still have 19-second gap to the leader up in front and 15 seconds to the 512 in third place. Eventually on lap 3 we would get that gap down to overtake the 512, and very quickly after that we would then overtake the 458 going on to lap 4. Now at that point we basically have 2 full laps to track down the F8, which is way out in front by 13 seconds. And when we got the gap down to around about 4 seconds, luckily some well-placed traffic did help us out and we were able to eventually pick off the F8 on the final corner and take that win. So there we go. Definitely not the easiest event, probably the hardest actually overall, but that's tick number 3 of the week. Now in terms of the payout for this one, 95,000 credits without the clean race bonus. Bit difficult just due to how clustered the grid is, and a 3-star ticket for the daily and 200,000 credits for completing 3 events. Moving on to event number 4 then, it's going to get a lot easier for this one. This is at Tokyo Expressway East Clockwise with the Nissan GTR Cup. Of course, aimed at any generation of Nissan GTR, built to, I believe, 650 pp. That pp rating gives you plenty to play about with. Now, my GTR of choice was the R34 GTR, which I have tuned for acceleration and top speed, and I recommend that is the way you go. Now, the event itself, there are 16 cars in total, 15 AI over a 4-lap sprint. Now, this being Tokyo Expressway, there are some very fast sectors here, and that is why I recommend tuning for top speed and acceleration over handling. Again, with a lot of these modern GTRs, anything from the R32 onwards, they are pretty much all 4-wheel drive, meaning you have plenty of grip anyway. So again, I recommend going for a low downforce setting. This way, this event will be a massive breeze for you and can be done in absolutely no time. Now again, a lot of the AI are capable of hitting over 200 miles per hour, however a decent slip and even faster top speed, and you should be able to breeze this one. I took the lead early on in lap 2 and I just wouldn't look back at that point. Building up around about a 17-second gap in the end, this was perhaps the easiest event of the week. That is tick number 4. In terms of the payout for this one, again, not too bad, 120,000 credits with that clean race bonus. Let's move on to the final event of the week. Of course, this is the returning special event, the World Group C Racing Championship at Watkins Glen Long Course. This is a 10-lap sprint style race. Again, I don't know why Polyphony haven't turned fuel and tyres on this one, considering all these cars are race cars. So returning for the second time, the first time at Le Mans and now Watkins Glen, my car of choice this time around will be the Nissan R92 CP, which is an incredibly thunderous Group C era race car. Now, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Nissan here. The way Watkins Glen is laid out, I would recommend something honestly like the XJR9 or the Sauber However, they seem to go incredibly well around here. Same with the 962C if you want to go for that car. The Mazda and Nissan are typically top speed cars in this game and can typically go faster in a straight line, but because there's not much of that here, I do recommend going for handling. Now, when it comes to the event itself, it's set out as a 10-lap sprint race. There is no tyre life or fuel usage on. However, I do not understand why Polyphony keep doing this for the Group C. It didn't make sense the first time, and it doesn't make sense now it's back. Now, of course, this is a typical pattern also with the JGTC and DTM events. However, it makes sense for those considering a lot of those grids are made up by road cars that are made to look like race cars. So, of course, they don't have a race fuel tank. But here, all of the Group C cars that you're up against are proper race cars, so I would like to see this expanded upon and have tyre life and fuel usage in there, just to make different strategies up and just kind of get more in depth into the event. So it is simply just a case of picking the AI off one by one. Again, the cars are in their separate groups. You'll end up going from group to group to group, picking each car off as you go. Now, honestly, it did take me a while to actually get into my groove here, and if you're the same, then it might look like you're not making any progress whatsoever. But once you start getting the overtakes done, they will start coming thick and fast. The only time it won't is the gap to the front runners, which typically seem to be way out in front compared to the rest of the field. Now, for me on my first run, it was a pair of 962Cs, which again seemed to run incredibly well here. Eventually on lap 6 we would manage to get the jump on them, and at the end of lap 6 we would end up taking the lead, taking out the second 962C. But on the way I would have a fantastic battle with this car. Again, the performance of this vehicle around here seems to be incredibly turned up, and you know what, it is for the better. As you can see, it did seem to defend from me. I was having to run in the slipstream, try and get him under braking. It was absolutely brilliant. So on to lap 7 we would take the lead, and in the end it was just a case of building up the gap, which we did by over 8 seconds in the end after 10 laps completed, taking around about 15 minutes in this Group C race car. That's tick number 5 of the week, and we're also going to get paid out 140,000 credits without the clean race bonus, and of course on top of that we get 500k. So it's time to open up our collected rewards. Of course, up first we do have the daily driving marathon, which unfortunately was a 3-star, the lowest possible reward I could get. Honestly, I wanted the Mazda from this one, and I did actually end up getting it, so I did manage to get the Mazda RX-8 here. Not a bad prize at all from a 3-star ticket. Of course, then we add the monetary gain to it, so 100,000 credits for completing one event. For completing 3 events, it's 200,000 credits. And of course, for completing all 5, it's 500,000 credits, giving us a total of 800k in bonuses. And well, that's it. That completes this week's weekly challenges. Don't forget to let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments section. A huge thank you to my channel members on screen now. If you do want to join, it is massively appreciated. Anyway, a huge thank you to you guys watching at home. I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.